Miracle has been getting an insane amount of hype as it's the first product in human history that has been shown to effectively break down alcohol. But how good is it? Does it live up to the hype?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Here is my full and completely honest Miracle review. Like a lot of my reviews, I'm gonna give you the short answer because I hate wasting people's time, and the long answer. Short answer: after thorough testing and in the name of science, going out, drinking, and having Miracle, this stuff, and I'm very honest, is straight up magic. When I took this, it wasn't like my hangover was mitigated. It wasn't like I woke up and I'm like, oh, I don't feel that bad. I had zero hangover. I legitimately felt so good the next day. It seemed like something was off. Like it was that good, that legitimate. And I gotta say, it lives up to the hype. With that being said, let's get into the actual details and go into the long form review. First off, starting with the basics, like I said earlier, Miracle is a hangover cure. After drinking alcohol, we all know you definitely do not feel the best the next day, and this helps not only mitigate that, but completely remove the hangover. There are 30 pills in one package, and one package costs $35. So if you do the math out, it's about $2 for one serving. And if I had to ask you, do you want to spend $2 to almost not have a hangover at all the next day? To me, 100% worth the money. Here's how they look. As you can see, you take 2 of these pills 2 hours roughly before you start drinking. So I will say that this is more of like a preemptive measure. I will talk about this a little bit later in this video because this is unlike any other hangover cure on the market, and I want to stress I'm very transparent in all my videos. This is unlike every other hangover cure, and again, I will get into more of the finer details throughout this video, but what you do is you take it 2 hours before you start drinking. So that is something you do have to keep in mind, that let's say you start drinking, yeah, you can still take it, but it's definitely way more effective if you take it beforehand. This does help, I've noticed, if you take it, like say, while you're drinking, or like say if you take it right before you start drinking, but it's significantly more effective taking it a couple hours beforehand. Here's a picture containing all of the science, and to me, I'm always about the science. And as you can see, in a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial, up to 70% of alcohol was broken down with Miracle after 60 minutes. So what makes this so good? Let's get into the ingredients. The overall formula, as you can see, is a science-based formulation of high-performing live culture bacteria enriched with L-cysteine and vitamin B12, emulsifiers, and a lot more. Now, longtime listeners of this channel know I hate it when products say it's a proprietary formula or a special blend. Usually that's a red flag. However, I do give Miracle a pass just because they actually do have a patent on the type of bacteria they have that they've been developing for years in order to effectively break down alcohol. So in this case, this is one of the few products I've ever seen that when they mention a proprietary formula, it actually is a legitimate proprietary formula because there's no other hangover cure on the market, period, that is this exact type of bacteria and this exact formula, and that's what makes this so unique. With all that being said, how did it affect me, right? Like, yeah, the science says one thing, but how does it work in practicality? It is scarily good. And again, I'm very transparent in all my videos. And the best way I can describe it, and this is what's so unique, is I've tried a bunch of other hangover cures. You know, I've reviewed a bunch on this channel. And what's interesting is I feel like most of them do work to an extent, but they more mitigate your hangover. So as opposed to having, let's say, I don't know, 8 out of 10 hangover, I have a 5 out of 10 hangover. So I'm still not feeling the best the next day, but it's definitely not as bad as if I didn't take most hangover cures. With this, though, it's almost the difference between feeling hungover and not feeling hungover at all. It is insane how much better and how much, pretty much 100% I felt waking up the next day. It was shocking when I woke up the next day being like, I don't feel bad at all. And I drank a good amount. Another thing which I thought was interesting, and I don't know if this is just me, I didn't find any other research online to support this, so this is maybe just the way it affects me personally. I found that when I took it, it lasted a couple days. What I mean is, when I took it on one day and then drank that day and the day after, even though I only took one dose, for some reason it almost lasted or was effective for multiple days. I think that might just be me. Obviously, it affects everybody differently, right? Everybody's body is a bit different. But it was kind of cool that I'm like, I took this on a Friday. And even after drinking on a Saturday, when I didn't take it, on Sunday morning, I still felt amazing, which is kind of unique, right? So I will say, I feel like that taking it further from when you start drinking, I feel like is the best. Again, just the way it affects me. Now on to the negative aspects, because of course, no product is ever perfect. You may be wondering like, okay, there's got to be a catch. And there's one unique catch about Miracle, and I have to be honest about it. Now, the best analogy I can give in terms of the way Miracle works on your body, I know this sounds kind of weird, but it's important to understand, is pretend like someone punches you in the arm super hard, and you get a bruise, and your arm hurts and everything. The way most hangover cures work is the damage is done, right? Like someone punches you in the arm, and they try to heal it, right? That's why for most hangover cures, they do help your hangover, but they don't really remove it entirely, right? Like it's more of like a mitigation that you're like, all right, by taking this hangover cure, the damage has been done by alcohol. We're gonna try to mitigate the damage from that. Using Miracle, it's almost like the complete opposite, where as opposed to someone like say punches you in the arm and you try to take stuff to heal it, it's almost as if you put armor on before they punch you. Again, I know a weird analogy. So in this case, it's almost like you're protecting your body before you get punched, or being more specific in this case, it's almost like you put armor on to protect yourself against the alcohol before it even gets absorbed or gets into your system, if that makes sense. Now, on one end, this is good, right? Of course, this is a great thing, like I showed you with the studies and the research. Here's the odd, I don't know if I call it a negative aspect, but it is something I do have to bring up, and that is this. I found when I took Miracle that 3 or 4 drinks felt like 1. It was almost as if that I had this crazy, unbelievably mind-blowing, superhuman drinking tolerance. And I remember having it. I was pre-gaming with friends. I had about 5 drinks. And I remember thinking like, wow, I've had 5 drinks, so not an insane amount, but not just 1 either. But it genuinely felt like I had 1, maybe 2 drinks. It was very, very odd. And that was a very unique thing to experience. And again, I'm not trying to say this is a bad thing or a good thing, but it's just a very unique thing that, like, say if you are drinking, you want to get that buzz and you want to feel tipsy and whatnot. I find that with Miracle, it takes a lot more alcohol in order to get that buzz or that feeling that some people might want. However, for me, I actually did kind of love that I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool that I'm going out, I'm drinking, like, say, the same amount I would normally, but I wake up the next day feeling 100% fine. In addition, I will say that and I have to word this the right way, that the inebriation sensation or effects, like basically me being drunk, so to speak, the feeling was a lot better too. I wish I could word it a bit more specifically, but I just found I felt a lot better while drinking, as opposed to, as we all know, like say if you consume a lot of alcohol, you might feel sluggish or down or not fully there, right? Of course, alcohol is a depressant, but with Miracle, I almost felt like I had all the good parts about being drunk and being inebriated without all the negative parts. Like I said before, for almost every other hangover cure, or pretty much all of them, a lot of them do contain very similar ingredients like DHM, white willow bark extract, prickly pear extract, milk thistle. There are a bunch of supplements that have been shown to help mitigate a hangover, but like I said earlier, the damage has been done. So it's almost like, when you put alcohol into your body and it poisons you, which is basically what alcohol is, it's trying to mitigate that poison damage on your body. But with this, it almost puts up that armor, like I said earlier, using that odd punching analogy. It puts on the armor, so by the time you have the alcohol, you're already protected and ready to go. I gotta say, I am blown away by Miracle, and I very rarely say that about any supplement. I've tried a lot of supplements, some of them good, some of them bad, especially in relation to being hungover, because as I mentioned before, a hangover is a multifaceted issue. Even Andrew Huberman talked about it on his alcohol podcast, that there's just so much to it, whether it's dehydration, your gut health, the mental aspect of drinking. There's just so much to alcohol that hangovers are a very tricky thing to deal with. It's straight magic.